Hey friends, Pastor Bill Walden here with Build Up the Church. This is a devotional word for March 31st, 2024, and this is out of the Gospel of Luke, chapter 8. We read this, Luke 8:22. Now it happened on a certain day that he got into a boat with his disciples, and he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side of the lake," and they launched out. But as they sailed, he fell asleep, and a windstorm came down on the lake, and they were filling with water and were in jeopardy. And they came to him and awoke him, saying, "Master, Master, we are perishing." Then he arose and rebuked the wind and the raging water, and they ceased, and there was a calm. But he said to them, "Where is your faith?" And they were afraid and marveled, saying to one another, "Who can this be? For he even commands the winds and water, and they obey him." Now I want to focus on verse 24, where it says that Jesus rebuked the wind and the raging of the water. If you look that word up in a Bible dictionary or a concordance, actually, you'll find that that word rebuked is used for rebuking people, but it also says that sometimes Jesus would rebuke demons. And there have been some commentators, and I'm in this group, that believe that the source of this storm on the Sea of Galilee was a satanic source. It was inspired by Satan and carried out by Satan or carried out by one of his demons. This is why I think this, and I'm going to give you some biblical backup for it. We always want to back up our theories or our opinions or our thoughts with more scripture. Jesus and the 12 were in the boat. So that's the whole gospel team right there, basically. If Satan could destroy them, he's destroying the whole plan of God. And so I believe, along with some other Bible teachers, pastors, commentators, that when it says Jesus arose and rebuked the wind and he rebuked the raging of the water, he's not just speaking over nature, he's speaking into the demonic realm. Now I want us to compare that with Job chapter 1. If you know the story about Job, Job was a righteous man. And Satan comes before the throne of God, which is another interesting line of thought. We won't cover that now. But Satan comes before the Lord. And God said to Satan, "Where do you come from?" And Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro on the earth and walking back and forth on it." The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There's nobody like him on the earth. Blameless, upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil." So Satan answered the Lord and said, "Well, does Job fear God for nothing? I mean, he's doing it for a reason. Have you not made a hedge around him and his household and all around that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But now, God, stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." So Satan here is challenging God about the supposed or actual righteousness and holiness of Job. Satan says he's only worshiping you because you bless him. Don't bless him. In fact, do something against him, and watch, you'll see the real Job. The real Job will come out. He'll be against you. The Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your power, only do not lay a hand on his person." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Satan proceeds, in my opinion, to attack the possessions and the children of Job. It says this: while one of the servants had already informed Job about some robbers coming and taking some of his possessions, while he was speaking, this is Job 1:16, another servant came and said, "The fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you." Now, nothing happens without God giving the okay, but apparently God gave the okay. Satan said, "Let me get to him," and God said, "Okay, you can't touch him, but you can touch his stuff, and you can touch his family." And what's the next thing we read? A fire fell from heaven. If you connect the dots, it makes sense, at least to me, that Satan had something to do with that supernatural, probably lightning or maybe some kind of fire and brimstone, something. Satan had something to do with that because that was his intention all along. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and suddenly a great wind came from across the wilderness and struck the four corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they are dead, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Let's connect the dots really quickly and bring this to a conclusion. A storm came up, threatening the life of Jesus and his gospel team, and Jesus rebuked the storm, the same word often used for rebuking a demon. Satan came to God and said, Job only worships you because you protect him so much. Let me get to him. And God said, okay, I'll let you get to him. You can't touch him, but I'll let you get to him, because God was basically saying, I'm going to prove my point. He's a righteous man. It did come at a high cost, and Job was compensated, if you will, by the end of the book of Job. But what happened there? One thing that came was a fire from heaven, and the other one was a great wind. And it seems to me that Satan has some degree of control over nature, over weather patterns. The devil is in the wind, if you will. That could sound superstitious, but we've just looked at a New Testament passage and an Old Testament passage that both point us in that same direction. Why is it important to know these things? Well, we certainly don't want to believe superstitious things about Satan, but we also need to be aware of our adversary and how he works, and how also we can pray, because it talked about that prayer, the effective fervent prayers of a righteous man avails much. And in the Old Testament, we also see the prayers of Elisha change the weather too. Big thoughts. Some might be saying, Pastor Billy, you've lost your mind. I like to make a joke of it. If I have lost my mind, at least I'm very happy about it. But I don't think I've lost my mind. Some interesting dots connect to connect in a biblical fashion. So some thoughts for you. God bless you. Thanks for watching.